So this is our last segment, and we're going to talk about programming and competition tactics. So could you explain, please, how you tailor your programs towards beginners, intermediates, and elites, please?
Well, for beginners, it's 3 days a week, and it's power snatch, power clean and jerk, clean deadlift and shrug, front squat and back squat and overhead squat. And then we work into the squat snatch and the squat. But first I teach them how to power snatch and power clean and jerk and clean deadlift and shrug and do pulls. Then we get in, as they master that, we get into the squat snatch and the squat clean and jerk. But my basic program for up to the highest level lifter is Monday, using a 3-day week as an example. Monday is the main emphasis will be on the squat. We may do the squat first, or we may not, but that'll definitely be where the most time and energy goes in the squat.
Okay.
And then on Wednesday, and we'll do snatches and clean and jerk. We always do all the lifts every workout, some form of snatch, clean and jerk, and squat. But I like to do lots of little variations. Anyway, then on Wednesday, it's primary jerk day, working the jerk off the rack. And I also have a big believer in doing jerk supports, where you put a weight in the rack over your head, and you get underneath it and you stand up and hold, you can hold tons of weight that way, but it really helps you be strong enough so when you get that heavy weight overhead, you can keep it there. I often wonder if Niku Vlad had done that exercise, if he could have kept some of his jerks. But so the jerk support is an exercise we also do on Wednesdays, overhead support. Then on Friday or Saturday, we'll do snatches and clean and jerks, and we'll just do a whole lot of them, and then pulls and squats. So Monday, workout A, I call it. Workout A is the main emphasis on squats. Workout B is on jerks. Workout C is on snatch and clean and jerk. But we always do snatches and clean and jerks every workout.
Okay. And for your athletes who are, let's say, at an intermediate level and would be getting, let's say, a 300 Sinclair, and they wanted to get up to, let's say, 350 around that stage, how would you tailor that program?
Well, then I would get into more detailed cycling and keeping track of percentages. I use percentages. I use the slide rule. Slide rule went out of business in 1972 when Hewlett-Packard somebody invented that pocket calculator. But I still use the slide rule because that doesn't need batteries. But anyway, so I would follow them very, very closely and monitor their maximums, and then cycle, and you do all kinds of periodization and cycling and peaking and do all those things with the athlete. And it always depends on their age, their time and commitment.
Yep.
And then we just go year round with keeping very, very close details of their workout, so we can alter it.
And if you want to, let's say, increase the amount of volume in their training, what would be the general principles you go about that?
Well, just to slowly increase the volume just by adding, like, instead of doing, say, 3 sets of 3, we might go to 5 sets of 3 at the top weight, or 5 sets of 2, or 5 sets of 1. I like 3 sets of something with a 90% weight, because in competition you get 3 attempts.
Yep.
And so it's always geared toward that. But then I've done, I do all the different types of variations of the wave training, the cluster training, the reps, and so just vary it. But when we're going for, like, say, the Olympic trials, we're trying to make the Olympic team or a contender. Well, then it's really right down to the snatch and the clean and jerk. I've got the person months out strong and fit, and now we're just really.
So you do a more Bulgarian cycle, would you, of focusing on classical lifts?
I do Bulgarian, Russian, Chinese. I do Schmitz. but it's a little bit of all of it. Because I learned my lifting from Strength and Health magazine. Morris Wiseman wrote great articles on Polish training. Tommy Kono, great articles on the ABCs of weightlifting. And Bill Starr wrote fantastic articles. And Dick Smith, Smitty, and so many people wrote, so Strength and Health is where I learned so much. But then you take that and you put it into the gym, because I have a training manual, and people go off and then they say, well, Jim, it works great, but now it didn't work. Everything has to be adapted. It's the general principle that you have to follow. You can't do things the exact same sets and reps and percentages as somebody else. You always have to alter it. For example, the Russian squat program, which everybody likes to do, well, that's built on a whole. Very few people can follow that unless they're raised in the Russian program. But anyway, it does work, but it also burns you out. It takes it out of you.
Just if anyone actually wants to buy your manual, your training manual, how would they do so?
Ironmind.com.
And they can buy it there.
Milo, they buy it.
Okay. And just another quick question: if you had to, which country would have your favorite training system, which nation do you admire the most?
On the South Koreans right now, because like I said earlier, I mean, I don't believe they've ever had a drug positive, and they're Olympic champions, world champions, and they're great, and they're also a culture that's somewhat affluent now, whereas the Chinese and the Eastern Soviet, so it's in the Polish too, as a society becomes more affluent, their weightlifting program seems to go down, because weightlifting programs seem to be the best in the poor countries, or the poor part of the countries.
Yep.
And so it's really a blue-collar sport. It's not. We don't get anybody from country clubs. We get them from the mines.
All right. Just the last section of the interview, we will talk about competition strategy and the things you've learned over your career.
Well, I have. The first place, if the lifter lets me call their attempts. I mean, if they don't want me to call their attempts, then I'm not going to argue with them, because then that's no good.
Yep.
They have to want to go by my plan, which we've discussed beforehand. We base it on training. All it's based on the last 2 weeks of training.
Yep.
So if it's a beginner, their third attempt will be their best that they made in the gym.
Yep.
And people say, well, I'm going to be doing no, but it's in the gym is so different than training than a competition. So if you can equal what you did in the gym as a beginner in your first or few contests, that's very good. Because and then as a person becomes more advanced, usually their second attempt will be what they've done in the gym.
Yep.
Consistently, not just once out of 5 attempts, but they consistently have done that in the gym. I like to usually have the snatch done in the gym, maybe within the last 2 weeks, their third attempt.
Yep.
And the clean and jerk, so I like to do 3 snatches, 2 clean and jerks, and then we can play.
Okay.
And that's why and because the lifters just get all caught up in stuff, and that's where the coach has to sit back and be objective and watch the lifter and see. Because I tell people, if you want to lift more weight, then you got to go out and do this one with a smile. I don't want to see any grimacing or grunting. I don't want you to see your head, your eyeballs getting crossed. You got to make it look easy. Then I'll let you go for a lot more weight.
Okay, great stuff. Thanks again for the interview, Jim. And
okay, thank you. Now it's time for you to work out.
Yeah.